to the Tearsheet Talks lending, credit, and data session. I'm joined today by Andy Sheehan, EVP US Open Banking at Mastercard. We're going to be talking about how to harness open banking to deliver more payment choice and exceptional experiences in lending. Andy is going to explore the importance of transparency and security when it comes to consumer financial decisions. Mastercard is working to remove friction, mitigate risk, and increase inclusion in lending through open banking. I'm Zach Miller, Tearsheet's editor-in-chief. I'll let you know a little bit more about Andy. As I mentioned before, he's EVP Open Banking Business at Mastercard, and he's driven to build and inspire innovative teams to deliver exceptional customer experiences. For more than 30 years, he's focused on harnessing data, analytics, and technology to strengthen businesses and consumers alike across various industries. And prior to joining Mastercard, Andy spent nearly 2 decades at Experian. And at Experian, he successfully positioned the business for growth during the volatile post-recession period, developed its internal assets, and piloted strategic planning and corporate development initiatives. He holds a BS in engineering from the University of Notre Dame and an MBA from Dartmouth College's Tuck School of Business. Welcome, Andy.
It's good to see you, Zach. That's quite an intro. Thanks for taking time with me.
I do find it's awkward to hear, your bio spouted back to you, but I'm really excited to talk to you. You've got a great story behind you. Let's just jump in and one of the things I find on this as we interview executives is that open banking means different things to different people. I'm curious how you would define open banking and how it fits into the payments industry.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. And I love talking about open banking. That's for sure. And just to simplify it, open banking allows us as consumers or small businesses to, securely permission or share our information, our financial data, to make our lives better. So that could be getting access to better lending products, ease and convenience of making payments, accessing our data in a way that gives us insights about how we save, how we spend, how we can manage our finances better.
So, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I think part of your question was kind of the role of
how it fits into payments. Yeah,
in payments. Yeah, so it really drives choice in payments. So traditionally, Mastercard, a leader in debit and credit payments, in terms of driving the choice of being able to pay by bank. Through ACH securely with confidence. It's really a whole new payment rail.
I see. And, for a while, at least at Tearsheet, we didn't use the term open banking because it felt like it was a very European term. But it definitely is making its roots here. It makes sense in the ecosystems that we're building here, even though they're a little bit different. I'm kind of curious from your perspective, like how widely understood is open banking and what are some of the things the industry can do to help accelerate, I guess, moving the ball forward?
Yeah, it's certainly it's growing and its awareness is emerging fast. It's interesting, some research that we've done at Mastercard globally. More consumers and small businesses are using open banking services than really necessarily understand the term open banking. So
right, that makes sense.
2/3 are using, about a half would be able to kind of explain open banking in terms of permissioning or linking accounts.
Yeah, I guess it seems like as long as it works, like you don't really need to know the name for it, right? But it's the connectivity, the ease of use, like that's really what's important.
Yeah, and I think there's an opportunity there. Certainly, transparency and awareness to us as consumers and small businesses is something that we're working really, really hard to do, and make sure there's more awareness around Mastercard's role in making that happen.
Yeah, so I want to double click on that a little bit. Can you give us an overview of how you view Mastercard's role in the open banking space?
Yeah, so open banking is it's a real strategic focus of Mastercard's, and we think about it as building out a new network consumer permissioned information, and I think it's for Mastercard. We have our traditional payment networks. We're building out identity networks, the open banking network, which is trusted, secure resource for consumers and small businesses to know and securely permission their information and really put their information to work across the financial ecosystem. It's exciting, it's inspiring to us, and we're excited to be driving that globally.
It's interesting as you're saying that, and one of the things I'm thinking, like, even though open banking is new-ish, like it's a network, right? Or it's an ecosystem, and that seems to be a muscle that Mastercard has exercised for sure as a
Yeah,
network.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, and building standards,
Hmm.
reliability, security, all the aspects of a strong and trusted network.
Hmm.
It's something that we're working hard at.
Great. So, I mean, as we're describing this, open banking still feels like it's in its early days, and there's several different platforms out there. And I'm curious, Andy, how you and Mastercard are differentiating in the open banking space.
Yeah, good question, Zach. I mean, I think first and foremost, it's about driving and building trust. So of course there's the Mastercard brand that's trusted, that's trusted globally, but it's really those attributes, and us delivering on those attributes around reliability, security, consumer privacy, that I think is a unique opportunity for Mastercard, and something that we're working hard at. I think there's the capabilities themselves within open banking. So the coverage and reliability of connections to financial institutions is one. It's foundational to open banking. So within Mastercard Open Banking, we really emphasize on really building those direct connections to financial institutions, and really leading the industry in getting to next generation API connections to financial institutions. I think another area that separates us is the capability mix we have.
Hmm.
So it's a lot of differentiation. We can create a lot of magic by overlaying our core open banking capabilities with other Mastercard capabilities. So I mentioned our identity capabilities. That's an area where we've just launched and really embedded identity insights directly within our open banking by tapping other capabilities that Mastercard has built. So those are a few areas, Zach, where we differentiate. I think a final area is just the purpose that we bring to the market with open banking. Doing right by consumers, driving inclusion, into the digital economy, is something that is near and dear to the hearts of myself and our teammates.
That makes a lot of sense. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about lending specifically.
Yeah.
How Mastercard is addressing some of the gaps in the consumer lending process through open banking.
Yeah, I mean, I think as you mentioned in the introduction, I spent almost 20 years in traditional credit reporting,
Hmm.
and the opportunity to just extend into new frontiers and make a difference in lending is something that is meaningful to me. I think one aspect of one real difference maker around open banking capabilities in lending is just digitizing the process. Right. So a big part of our value proposition to our financial institution clients, fintech clients, is digitizing consumer or small business experiences.
Hmm.
So to, we've all been through the loan process. So, buying a car, a mortgage, applying for a credit card, being able to
Reams of
digitize.
paper, multiple
Yes,
journeys. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Stop
Hey,
and
I
start.
running home to get a pay stub, right?
Exactly. Right.
So foundational, and this is one of the areas where we've grown our open banking business from is digitizing those call it those basic verifications, right? Verification of income, verification of assets, all by permissioning access to a bank account securely. I think as you kind of go up the food chain from there, traditional lending and based on credit reporting doesn't tell the whole story. It tells an important part of the story, but it can really open up new aspects of your financial situation and history in terms of cash flow, balance history, that can create more opportunity and choice for consumers. So we have clients that are able to improve, call it accept rates, by double digits by tapping into new data sources powered by open banking. So it's, my belief is it'll be a standard ubiquitous part of the lending process in the coming years, but it's still, as we mentioned, it's still relatively early days in mainstream lending.
Yeah, it's interesting also, like, even though it's early days, like, it still feels like we've come a long way since, like, pure screen scraping, where, like, we've moved into tokenization and more secure sharing of credentials, or no sharing of credentials, I should say. So, but once firms start sharing, like, things can go wrong. So maybe you can take a step back and talk about how Mastercard ensures security, particularly where data is moving between organizations.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with with this rapid shift to digitization, there's certainly the possibility for new types of fraud. So I think that really important priority and focus within our open banking network is to safeguard the network with everything Mastercard can bring to bear, in terms of just industrial strength, information security, and best practices. And then also, I mentioned a bit earlier, integrating really purpose-built capabilities within our network to address fraud. So for years, we've had a very core product called account owner verification, so that a consumer would link an account in their account, and our client would be able to verify that, yes, that is Andy Sheehan's account, based on the account holder. So just recently, within that same API, where our clients connect to, we're integrating fraud and identity checks, if you will, on that same data. So it's going to be a perpetual effort of introducing and really safeguarding the network with fraud capabilities. But that's one good example.
Yeah, I was speaking to a top 5 bank CTO recently, and he said that 70% of his time is just spent keeping the bad guys out and weeding the bad guys out. I mean, like, it's just we need to figure out a way to employ the fraudsters, on the good side of the force, to get them working for the good. But those guys are always ratcheting it up. Yeah. How do you think, Andy, about open banking and its relationship as a tool to spur financial inclusion?
Yeah, I think it's one of the, I think it's just one of the most powerful levers that that we have to put to work. I mentioned earlier just the applicability of open banking in lending, right? It's a difference maker, where consumers and businesses today are getting they're getting pulled into the financial industry with access to products that they wouldn't have had before. So it's and that's the lending use case, but I think just the establishing, getting access to a bank account for day-to-day money use in the in the first place, account opening, account funding, all from all digital through through an iPhone or a computer is a core use case for open banking. So being able to, we operate in 200 countries, and to make a difference around financial inclusion is at the core of our purpose.
Yeah, I think in the seat that I sit in, that's one of the things I'm most excited about, and what I'm hearing a lot about is big advances made in an inclusion at the product level, at the data level, to be able to bring more and more people into the financial ecosystem. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
What is Mastercard doing to broaden the reach of your solutions? How you pushing on the edge of the network, getting more people involved?
Yeah. I mean, I think certainly the global focus of Mastercard, so that's reach, not just here in the US, which is the business that I look after, but counterparts advancing open banking in Europe and in Australia, and it's it's something that we're really excited about. I think the reach of open banking through our partnerships at Mastercard, it's a very powerful, powerful distribution. So we announced a partnership with JP Chase to bring pay by bank capabilities through their channels. So that brings us access to merchants and all of the consumers that are served by merchants. So I think generally, Mastercard tends to be a very partner-centric business, and being able to deliver our services and elevate our partners with the clients that they serve, and ultimately with the consumers that are benefiting, is a pretty exciting time.
So I'm curious. In that answer, you talked about your counterparts in different geographies throughout the world, and each geography has certain dynamics and nuances to it. How do those learnings happen? Like between something that's maybe a trend that's happening in one geography and communicating back to sort of a leadership in another geography. Are there learnings, I guess, across borders that you guys are taking home?
Absolutely. So I sit on a global open banking team, and we're sharing insights on our respective markets every single week. And in fact, we have a dedicated team at Mastercard whose real charter is to while I'm kind of in the real busy running the business, their focus is evangelizing, understanding, helping to understand the difference between regulatory frameworks cross country, and ultimately how Mastercard can make a difference region by region.
Awesome. I'm getting to the end of our conversation now. I have one more question for you, Andy.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring it back, tie it together. We talked about credit and open banking and the data underlying it. And I want to bring it back to lending. I'm curious what kind of trends you're seeing today that you think will be important over the next few years as it relates to consumer lending.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I give a lot of thought to this, right? And it, I think we're still getting adoption in terms of this digitization that we talked about, right? So we do a lot in mortgage lending, and and the majority of mortgage applications are not leveraging open banking services. So I think getting to that adoption is kind of where we are right now. I think that the use of the open banking data itself is still developing, right? So there's one thing to kind of verify assets, balances. Is a pay stub coming into an account, every 2 weeks? I think bringing that to the sophistication of leveraging banking data for advanced decisioning based on cash flow trends, balance trends. I think that's an exciting time in front of us. I think some of the more digital first players are maybe ahead of that in terms of adoption, but I think that the traditional banks are pushing hard, and we'll get there soon. And then finally, I think that this area, we talk about an open banking network. It's expressly permissioned by us as consumers and businesses. I've been talking a lot about more of the traditional bank account information. But I think more and more we're going to see that expand to other parts of our financial lives. So, us as consumers to be able to quickly and efficiently, share our financial information. But what about tax information? What about assets that we own? What about our education credentials, which are kind of an important credential that we bring with us for life. So it's early days and nothing but exciting stuff on the horizon.